Without a doubt, the skill that Counter-Strike players are most obsessed with is aim. People will deathmatch for countless hours out of the day, shoot thousands of bots, or even spend hundreds of hours in third-party aim trainers in an attempt to improve this one skill because they think that's what's holding them back from their elo gold. Well, today I'll be revealing the honest truth about what aim looks like in every single rank in Counter-Strike, and to do this, not only have I reviewed countless FACEIT games of all ranks from EU, but I've compiled statistics gathered from the Leadified database as well as HLTV, interviewed several professional CS2 coaches, and even sat down with the professional player 6C, who's most famously known for playing on Complexity. But before we get into any of that, just like last time, I want to share with you a knife giveaway that I'm hosting. To be entered to win, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and join the RyderDie Discord. Let's get started. When I first started making this video, I sat down for about a day or two watching FACEIT games of all ranks, but after a while I started to notice something strange. I would sometimes find players in level 10 that would demonstrate aim equivalent to something that I would likely see in level 7 or even lower. The same would also happen when I watched much lower elo demos. Players in level 3 occasionally would show off aim that would be consistent with someone from level 7 or even higher. I then realized if I want to figure out what aim looks like in every rank, I need to adjust my approach. I figured that I would ask my Discord community of approximately 3,000 people if anyone was interested in taking an aim labs benchmark, provided that they told me their FACEIT rank in the amount of games that they've played. To my surprise, quite a few people were interested. So with the help from my community and 2 former pro players, I had the results. First graph that we see is on static aim, testing levels 1 through 10 as well as our former pros. For the most part, we see linear progression from level 1 all the way to pro, but to my surprise, level 10 players outperform the pros and level 9 players on average outperform the level 10 players. These results were consistent with the other 2 tests that I did, which included switching scenarios and tracking scenarios. In my opinion, there are 2 reasonable conclusions that can be made here. One, the results of the experiment can be considered generally inaccurate due to the small sample size. After all, I only tested 2 former pros and the number of participants was less than 100. Or 2, raw aim, which is what's being tested here, is actually less important than what the community gives it credit for. But before we jump to any conclusions, I wanted to ask some professional CS2 coaches their thoughts on aim trainers.
I don't think it should be like the main focus, but I think it's definitely like important to aim train and everything. There was one scenario, whenever someone asks me this question, I always think back when I was in like advanced before I'd qualified for ECL. We were playing in advanced playoffs. It was like a really close game. If we lose this game, we're out of playoffs. It's like map 3 nuke, tied game like 13-13. And I remember this round specifically because the night before I was like grinding aim labs for like 2 hours. I would just blast music and just like have fun. I was rapping CT on T side, and there was a guy Heaven, and I was looking at Hell. I was looking at like under Heaven. And he peeked me and he insta-dinked me, but I like insta-flicked directly to his head. We traded dinks, but I had an AK, so I won, and we won the game. And then that's the season that I made ECL, or MDL. Not to like credit aim training for that, but like how everyone says it's diminishing returns, you will get scenarios like that where you do come out on top because of it. And if it's in the right moment, then it could actually have a pretty big impact.
So I think that aim labs and Kovacs or any other aim trainer, also there's those aim trainers that are ingrained into CS, right? The workshop maps. Those help a lot, especially to develop feeling of the mouse and ability to move your mouse on the mouse pad however you want and be comfortable with that. So I think it helps a lot. I think it's great. They are great tools to help you move your mouse on the mouse pad. Be confident whether you move it small amount, it moves a small amount, you move it a lot, sure. You can turn around however you want. You develop that kind of feeling of, okay, if I want to aim on this part of the screen, I will be able to confidently do it. So I think it's great. I think these aim trainers, Kovacs, aim labs, the workshop maps, they're amazing for that.
I mean, I think it's overall a very good thing. I think that people can get too caught up on it and get obsessed with it, and it takes away from the overall point of the aim training, which is to make yourself feel more comfortable with your mouse, understand like the muscle memory of everything and where to move your hand, how far to go and stuff. So I think people can get caught up chasing scores, but yeah, it's good.
I think it's good to aim train, but you have to manage it properly. So you can't be committing too much time to aim training and forgetting all other aspects about CS, because in CS, if you have like average aim, but you have really good movement, you can still be a really good player. But if you have a good aim and the worst movement like ever, you're not going to be a good player. Movement is so key in CS. How you peek angles, how you counter strafe, how you're like choosing your fights. It's much more important than just aim alone.
I also asked the coaches this. Okay, number 2, out of everyone you've coached, how often is lack of aiming ability the true reason why someone isn't in their desired rank?
If we're to put a percent to it, 10 to 15.
Okay, so I've probably coached over 400 players by now, and aiming probably like I would say under 5%. I'd say literally under 5%.
I think like out of the like random number that pops in my head is around 10 to maybe 15%, maybe 20% at max of people who are trying to climb. This is their main cap, right? It's usually not the cap. So I would say like 10%, 15%, 20 maybe max. I feel like if you want to focus on aim, you should do it as you're learning to move the mouse. So, for example, if you're switching from Call of Duty on a console and you're switching to moving the mouse and playing Counter-Strike, bro, spend like 100 hours on aim trainers if you want to.
Yeah.
But if you already know how to hold your mouse in your hand, right, and you've been moving it for 5 years playing different other games,
Sure.
you can spend time on different aspects of CS and get a hugely like way bigger ROI, like return on your time, for that training, right? On other parts of CS, not on aim specifically. So I think that it's great, but people are spending their time wrong.
Yeah, so that's a very tough question because ultimately I feel for most players, getting to like face level 10, whatever their goals are, you could get there in so many different ways. I've seen face to level 10 players just have 0 out of 10 aim, right? Like it looks like they can't aim, but they got there in other ways, maybe through their game sense, through their utility usage, knowledge in that way. So to me, I don't think that many players are held back to do their aim. Every once in a while, I'll come up on somebody where it's like that's the biggest focus we have to look at. But generally, people completely overvalue aim and they just push and push and push it as hard as they can when it's really easy to raise other areas of your game that are dragging you down so badly.
And for my final question, I asked our coaches how someone like Donk or Zywoo can get to where they're at, being considered some of the 2 best players in the world, without ever opening up an aim training software like Aim Labs or Kovac.
This question I didn't even need to think about at all. It's just about that they play the game 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they play so much that they naturally develop those habits themselves. If you probably like Donk is a good example. There's many
Yes.
people who just grind it. That's what I did as well. I never opened up an aim trainer. I just literally came back from school, played like 5, 8 facet bugs, and I just did that for like a long time.
Ultimately, I think there's just so many ways to improve nowadays that aim training isn't necessarily the ultimate place you have to go, especially with some of the players that might be in some less aim heavy roles. It's not as important. So, of course, it makes sense that, players will get to where they are now through many different reasons.
A lot of these players that started playing CS really, really young, it's kind of the same thing where they just like pug. They get like a natural feel for the game and they don't feel the need to aim train because they just kind of their brain develops like a sponge and just like they just know what to do.
From the definition that we've just discussed of aim that I have in my brain, you can train aim while playing Face It, obviously, because you still have to point the mouse to the different parts of the screen, right? But in Face It, you're not going to have so many opportunities to point the mouse to different parts of the screen as you would have in an aim training scenario or even in deathmatch or in bots, right? So you're learning that slower, but you're still learning that, right? So imagine someone spends 10,000 hours on playing Face It. Let's just assume 5% of that time is spent on pointing the mouse to different directions of the screen. And then let's take a beginner who's spending some time on aim trainers. Obviously, he's going to get his aim better faster. I think there are diminishing returns above some point. And the game sense, the counter-strafing, peeking, all these aspects, they come together. And since aim is such a small percentage of it, plus it's already diminishing returns after some point, like you can probably skip aim trainers overall if you play 10,000, 20,000 hours of CS.
I also give the coaches a chance to share any last-minute remarks about aim and Counter-Strike.
Okay, I'll keep it simple. I think aim training is important. It's definitely worth trying out as long as you do your research. But don't forget about playing the actual game itself and investing time into learning all other aspects of it. So there's movement, utility, decision making, etc., etc.
Some of the best knowledge, I guess, I've learned about aiming has come from watching demos.
Really?
Yeah. And when I played with Nifty, this is one of the things that he said is watch like Twists, watch Nico, watch Elige, watch whatever, and like kind of be like inspired to play like that. Like if I would have a bad game, I would watch my demo of my bad game, and then I would watch a pro player play my spot and farm in my spot, and I'd say, what am I doing differently that they're not doing? Maybe he's holding this angle wider than I am. Maybe he's playing a different angle. Maybe he's setting up with better util. And that part of aiming is not something you're going to get from an aim trainer. It's not.
Right.
It's nice because when you're doing grid shot and everything, you're going to be able to, like the scenarios where you need to flick, you're going to be better in, the goal is not to flick in this game.
Yes.
Because if you're flicking, it means you're getting cut off and your crosser's not on them. You want that to be like 5% of your gunfights.
Right.
You can get really good at that 5% by doing aim trainers, but I feel like that shouldn't be the main focus.
If you don't watch this whole video or whole documentary, bro, if you're below 3k elo, just skip aim trainers. Thanks.
Got it. Yeah, 100%. Massive shout out to Polo, Pienix, CoJoMo, and Isk for agreeing to do an interview. I've received coaching from all of them, and honestly, I cannot recommend them enough. If you're interested in getting coaching from any one of them or just want to watch some of their content, links to their channels and other social media platforms will be down in the description. But we still haven't necessarily answered our question. What does aim look like in each rank of CS? Well, the honest truth is this. Every player is going to have a different level of raw aiming ability regardless of their rank, and their rank is not indicative of their raw aiming ability. What I mean by this is you can have a level 7 player with the raw aiming ability of an average level 10 player. Likewise, you can have a level 10 player with the raw aiming ability of an average level 7 player. But how is this possible? Well, like I mentioned earlier in the video, I pulled statistics from HLTV and Leadify to help prove this point. The first graph we'll look at shows accuracy of counter strafing, which we see has a definitive improvement as we progress through the ranks. So does crosshair placement, spray control, and time to kill. And the last graph we have also shows accuracy and headshot accuracy, which improves throughout the rank. And I know some of you are thinking, but Ryder, someone with better raw aiming ability will also have higher accuracy and headshot accuracy. And while I agree with you to a certain extent, if we take a level 7 player that has insane raw aiming ability, but consistently fails to counter strafe, have good crosshair placement, and control their recoil, their overall accuracy will reflect that and ultimately be lower. So much lower that their overall accuracy would likely be consistent with someone that's also in level 7. But if you don't believe me, let's listen to what 60 from Complexity has to say after I asked him, what message do you have for players who think it's their aim that's holding them back? Most people who play CS at a lower level tend to think it's just their aim that's holding them back. What kind of message do you have for all those players? And this could be even guys for like myself that are 2,500 elo.
Yeah.
So I have people that I know that are just like, they aim train for 2 hours in the morning and then they go to work and it's like, you could be playing face of pucks instead. But what's your message?
I mean, I said the same thing when I was on Complex. I'm like, dude, my aim's just so bad, but it's not like the aim. It's like, the whole thing is like, actually like, you might think it's the aim, but it's always like how you're just, it's more movement, if anything. I think that's the bigger thing. One thing I had to work on a lot was like my first month in Complexity was basically just fixing my movement and like trying to like peak better. The way you should be peaking is like the most important thing. Like aim, like I was actually getting more kills by just peaking correctly without even like really worrying about my aim.
Really?
Yeah, because like if you're peaking at close angle, you're just gonna die. Like if you know the guy, there's a chance that like a guy's holding like there and you're peeking from the close, he can just see you so much earlier and he's just gonna kill you. It's a freebie. But if you do a good peek, you actually give yourself a chance, and like now it's harder for him to actually kill you. I think that's just something that like people just don't think about, and they just like mindlessly like run around. That's why a lot of people don't really like DM as much, because you don't really get to like actually work on your movement. You just kind of brainlessly run around and aim. But when everybody should be focusing on like is how you want to peak this angle, like it's like what kind of like Alicia said like in his video about aiming and stuff like that. It's more movement based. Like if you move in a good way and you strafe, you're gonna get the kill most of the time. Like that's why you see like all these like crazy, like when Donk's just like doing like the slide thing or whatever, he's able to peek so many angles, or just peek an angle like where an opera might be holding him, just kill him because of like how good his peek actually is. It's not that he's just like pre-far, like he's thinking the guy's there, he does a good peek, does a perfect peek for him, and then kills him. Like I mean, it's hard for any opera to hold it, or any rifle to hold it. It's really hard.
60 and I sat down for about an hour talking about aim and Counter-Strike, and if you're interested in hearing more about what he has to say, I've posted highlights from our conversation in my community Discord. The link to that is in the description. All in all, raw aim isn't the only thing that makes higher elo players different from lower elo players, but rather it's a culmination of a variety of different skills. And the vast majority of these skills are truly only acquired by playing the game. I hope that this video has inspired a few of you to take a step back and reflect on how you approach Counter-Strike and how you approach the valuable time that you have to play the game. After all, in order to get better at Counter-Strike, you have to play Counter-Strike. I want to say thank you to anyone who's made it this far into the video. Putting all these things together took a really long time, and I hope you're able to gather something meaningful. Before I finish the video, I want to quickly shout out Maestro AI if you're interested in getting a leg up in the skins trading community, you should check out their website. Link to that is in the description. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with my content, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified. And as always, thanks for watching.